since I started listening to you a couple of months ago, bro, I don't even need to hear the word depression. I don't even care about that because that's not anything that I identify with anymore.
Nice.
I'm 100% cured. I'm 100% better because I've been listening to the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate you. And I just can't even, begin to tell you how much I really appreciate the things that you're doing for young men. Young men need to hear this, and young men need to know this message that you're delivering because it's important. It's vital to their lives, Jesse. I just wanted to let you know that, man.
That's amazing. I mean, you made my day, man. When I hear one soul has returned to the Father, it's like 1,000. It's better than silver and gold. So God bless you, man.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you do. You've absolutely changed my life for the positive, and I just want to thank you. I was 29-year-old beta, living at home with my mom, and just was living in fear and doubt, and I couldn't hold down a job. And then I found you, and I started listening. I started just being more at peace, and I forgave my mom, and I forgave my father. And it's like right after that, everything just changed in my life, and I was able to get a good job, and I moved out, and I live on my own now, and everything has just changed. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you for spreading that message. It really is a positive message.
Amazing. That's good, man. I want people to know God loves us in ways that there are no words to express because you have nothing to compare it to, right? Stay with the silent prayer. You haven't seen anything yet. It gets better. I noticed after a while that when these guys overcome their anger, they have amazing ideas about starting a business, but because they've been told that if you don't get a loan from the bank, or if you don't have a 5-year plan, or if you don't do this, and it's just simply not true, it's the first step. With faith, then all things are possible. So, but the most important thing is to return to the Father. That yearning that you have, that emptiness, that void, is not for more stuff. It's not for more friends. It is a return to the Father, because there's no way you can return to God and be angry at your earthly father. So thank you all so much, right? People around the world donated to Bond at rebuildingtheman.com, or they call 800-411-2663, and we're still committed to pointing the right way for men and women to return to the Father. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. He's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in today on this fine Tuesday. What a fine Tuesday it is to be back with you today to talk the news and everything, take your calls, get into topics, super chats, and do what we do here. You have me for the next 2 hours, and it is an absolute pleasure to be back here on this Tuesday. Anchor Baby's live, American Anchor Baby, and you're here watching. I'm in the chair. It's really just been the chair. Just expect the chair. I don't even need to say that for those that know. But thanks for tuning in. If you want to call and talk to the Anchor Baby, that's 888-775-3773. If you want to get in on the conversation here, writing myself a note here, apologies. 888-775-3773. I really want to get into some of this stuff. And I was talking tough, talking smack. And I'm joking a little bit, but, I was talking about, I'd say to you guys, I'm an anti-anchor baby. If it was up to me, I might even retroactively remove citizenships, go back, investigate certain naturalizations, and then denaturalize them. I was talking ish, but it's looking like that's in fact exactly what Trump is talking about. It is in fact exactly what he wants to do. He said it in quite clear terms. And in fact, it's a little bit of a continuation of his first term that never got really done. You might find the details interesting. What is going on? Are the Mexicans really getting deported? Citizens, even citizens, denaturalization? That's what they're talking about. Adios, amigo. They're telling me in my chat. Adios, Nick. You're hearing this, Bill? I was talking ish, but they're denaturalizing some citizens who have procured their citizenship in less than lawful ways. You think that includes me? We're going to get into it, okay? We got stuff to get into, plenty to talk about. No, citizens aren't getting, let's say you're, Mexican. Maybe my definition, Hake's definition of anchor baby may include you, but you're not getting kicked out, even if your parents, let's say you're even first generation, but your parents most likely, well, in some cases they were, but they were citizens. It's you're not getting removed. We're going to get into it. But there's even illegals. There's even illegals who know this is the right thing. Let's be real. Even the ones that say it's not. They know it's right, but there's even some who've called my show. Yes. They've even called my show, and they've said they get it, and they know it's the right thing, and maybe their situation has changed so much, so to the point where maybe now they got to leave. They got to self-deport. Pardon. They got to self-deport or something. Then so be it. But there's even illegals. They've called my show and everything. They're like, it's the right thing. It's obvious. They're illegal. So retroactively revoking citizenships. We're back to hiding. I'm in an undisclosed location. I just don't know what's going to happen. But this was not a surprise. It's just getting some attention right now because some reports Trump is going to revive this push to denaturalize citizens, denaturalize people who've gone through the naturalization process, right? So you weren't a citizen and you came in. There's different ways, many legal, right? You come in, you work, it's like a work visa, then you apply for residency, you got to prove a number of things. It's a good reason why you're staying, you're working, you've learned the language. There's a couple of different requirements, etc. There's other ways. There's ways even where illegals became citizens. They called it amnesty. Reagan was a big one. But that's how it goes, okay? They got naturalized. Are all of those people going to be denaturalized? I highly doubt it, but it was stipulated very early, like January 20th, the first day they put this out, Trump administration, the Protecting the United States from Foreign Terrorist and Other National Security and Public Safety Threats Executive Order. In it, it details the requirement to ensure a devotion of adequate resources to identify and take appropriate action for offenses described in 8 U.S.C. 1451. And what is that? What the heck is that? U.S. Code 1451. His executive order was basically like, we have to enforce this. We have to enforce this. And what is it? Revocation. Oh man, Bill, is the AC on? I'm suddenly sweating. Revocation of naturalization, aliens and nationality, immigration nationality. So all these provisions that allow the government to investigate, and I'm just joking, Bill. I'm talking about my nervousness. Okay, don't worry. You do what you're doing. I'm just talking about being nervous about getting deported. Bill got up to turn on the AC for me. Naturalized citizens. Look, this is all the provisions to remove, even if you've become a citizen, maybe you were born on the soil. Maybe your mother was pregnant and she jumped over the border and he became the anchor baby. Applicability. So you get it. The provisions that are there. And the executive order is basically saying, oh, thanks, little Nick. Bring back Big Nick. The provisions are there to remove them, right? Investigate and remove them, do the thing. So that's that. The articles are out. They're saying it's going to happen. Hold on, let me pull it up. So yeah, Trump revives push to denaturalize U.S. citizens. And they describe all the some of the stuff that happened in the last term with Trump. We saw what happened last time. A lot of resources were put into denaturalization. They investigated. They had set out an investigation of almost 1 million people. They had identified up to like 1,000, almost 2,000 individuals that needed to be investigated and possibly deported and denaturalized and deported. And I believe as it goes, they didn't quite get up to any of those numbers. Not exactly sure why, but the first term was full of problems with internal fights, conflicts from their own team. But people are asking all sorts of hypotheticals like, so they're really going to get rid of everyone, like even Mexicans? The number of people who support Trump's denaturalization and mass deportation plan is actually sickening. They're explicitly stating they want to end birthright and denaturalize American citizens, yet most people are convinced this won't affect them. This will affect you. I bet you people really believe it. Like your parents were Mexican, they were citizens though, or legal residents. This was made clear by the Trump administration that if you were born, if you procured your citizenship, and your status was illegal, your parents' status was illegal, and your father was not a legal resident or citizen, they put it like that, legal resident or citizen, then you have nothing to worry about. Is there a legal pathway, says a lawyer here in this USA Today article, for someone to go after them, take away your naturalization? If everything was truthful, they shouldn't be fearful. This is like a liberal lawyer here who defends denaturalizations. So they have a little experience with this. They say they have obtained citizenship in the rightful way. They shouldn't be in fear of being denaturalized. Okay. Most of the people denaturalized before Trump were war crimes, atrocities, lying about their past and their war crimes and other stuff in foreign countries to obtain citizenship. Trump reportedly, even in the first term, is just way more lax about it. So even if your parents were illegal and you obtain your citizenship through birthright, and had no citizen. None of your parents were citizens. So we'll see what happens with all that, right? Will I get removed? Will I get retroactively revoked? That's the story in the intro. It's like he became the anchor baby. His mama was pregnant, jumped over the border. Unless I was totally lied to, I was conceived in America by a citizen. I'm halfway citizen, okay? He may have been an anchor baby himself, but according to Trump's rules, we'll see what happens. Look, we'll see what happens. It's the right thing. Lana hoax. Check this out. No, let me just make it clear for all of you. No, Lana Del Rey did not tell Selena Gomez to go back to Mexico. No, that was not true. That was a hoax. I didn't report on this, so I didn't put this out. I didn't put out fake news. I did comment on Selena Gomez crying, having herself a little cry over the Mexicans, over the illegals getting deported. I think she even says, my people, look what they're doing to my people. And you saw her crying. You saw her lying.
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked.
Attacked? They're getting attacked. No, Lana Del Rey did not ask Selena Gomez to go to Mexico. This was fake news. But I found it funny. Just because it does seem like people may not be falling for the guilt trip. The waterworks, okay? Flava Flav, though. Flava Flav is defending Selena. Flava Flav. How old is he? 65 years old. Flava Flav. You know Flava Flav, right? Mr. Flav. He's just telling the people, stop bullying. Why are you bullying her? That woman is always so brave to share her truth. He's Team Selena Gomez, he writes. He's Team Selena Gomez. Real name, William Jonathan Drayton Jr. So many are quick to bully her. Yeah, you can grow old and pretty silly. You're too old to say these things, man. 65. You guys stop bullying her. I'm Team Selena Gomez, and that one. The most egregious is that she's so brave to share her truth. What the heck does that mean? Her truth, Flava Flav. You're much too old to say such a thing. To fall for the tears. So don't get involved with all that, man. Have some dignity. But I feel like some might agree, some might not, but I'm getting this impression. It's like people are just not really falling for the waterworks. They're like, yeah, this doesn't mean I have to accept infinity immigrants just because this guy's crying. Okay? Seeing ICE go into churches, schools, and hospitals like we're dangerous. Aliens, we're humans. Don't you know we're humans? You seen that activist out there protesting with the Mexicans? She was like a previously deported illegal. Had the gall. She just came back in, shows up at a protest. She's like, I'm a human. Hey, yo. Wait. What the? Hold up. Okay. I'll let you make your own conclusions on that. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. But we're going to move on. Why does this mean that we have to accept infinity immigrants? Okay. So I don't know if it's really working. The people voted. They seem to be like, yeah, this is what we voted for. The people disagreeing, maybe quietly. I bet you some. I bet you there's a good chunk that quietly are like, this is morally wrong, but let the bad guy, let the evil guy, Trump, do the lawful thing. I guess we need it. You know, some part of their twisted morality probably thinks this. Twisted morality. And it's kind of an interesting concept here. And how everyone's pretty twisted in how they see the world. Everyone, Christians, like it's pretty twisted. I see, for example, on this topic, I see some of the reactions to the people protesting and the deportations and all that, or there are these reports going around, how to avoid ICE and detection. You know, these are going around, and I want to comment on the how the lawful, you know, those on the right side, whatever, Trump supporters, Christians even. This is from the Catholic. Check this out. This is from the Catholic, I believe, Catholic Services. What is this? Catholic Charities. How to avoid ICE. And people are reacting to this. But what are they reacting to? Let's watch.
Hi, my name's Barb Graham, and I'm an attorney at Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee in the Refugee and Immigration Services Program. This is a video about knowing your rights if Immigration and Customs Enforcement approaches you. All people living in the United States, including people who are undocumented, have certain rights under the United States Constitution.
Wow.
If immigration officers, what we sometimes call Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE, come to your workplace, they must have a valid search warrant or the consent of your employer to enter non-public areas.
That's not a right afforded to, that's not exactly a right afforded to an illegal. Maybe I'm hearing her say that, and I can admit, maybe I don't know. Maybe she's saying it's true. Undocumented people have rights under the Constitution. It sounds a little ridiculous to me. Like either they added that in at some point, or when she says undocumented, she means how like these people are very documented, and that affords them some rights. But so far, point one, she's saying, for example, police need a warrant to go to non-public space. That's a right afforded to your employer who's a citizen, and their building they own. That's not a right afforded to an illegal. So she lying? Is this Catholic lady lying? What's going on here? Is she Catholic?
If you are undocumented and immigration officers come to your workplace, be aware of the following. First, do not panic and do not run away. If you are frightened and feel like you need to leave, you can calmly walk toward the exit.
That's pretty good advice. And if you're, just to add to that, if you are calmly walking to the exit and you are stopped or detained or whatever by police, don't fight. But this is great advice because I think we've learned. Maybe we've learned a little bit. Maybe even the liberals, it's like, yeah, the police are evil, but guys, don't act crazy and get shot. And you know what? We can't even justify that if that happens. And pretty much everyone agrees. They kind of feel like, I feel like that's the general vibe with the whole, I didn't do nothing and they shot me. Like, okay, what's the whole story here? So kind of good advice here. Don't run. Don't run. Don't run. Don't resist. Don't cause problems. Don't act squirrely. Put people in danger.
And feel like you need to leave, you can calmly walk toward the exit. If you are stopped, you may ask if you are free to leave.
Exactly.
If the officer says no, do not try to exit the building.
There you go.
If you are questioned, you may tell them you want to remain silent. 2, you have the right to remain silent. You do not need to speak to the immigration authorities or answer any questions. If you are...
Is that so? No way. In America, you could do, like, they could get a lawyer and everything, and then, so you could just jump over, and you're like, okay, court case, and get an American lawyer with taxpayer money to like, fight your case to stay. Maybe if you, I don't know, it's like...
asked where you were born or
something wrong about that.
How you entered the United States, you may simply refuse to answer or remain silent. If you choose to remain silent, say so out loud. If they ask you to stand in a group according to your immigration status, you do not have to move, or you can move to an area that is not designated for any particular group. You may show a Know Your Rights card to an officer that explains that you will remain silent.
You show them the card, Know Your Rights, they take it, they rip it. It's like Donald Trump is president. Did you see, excuse me, do you comprende? Let me get my Google Translate. It's like a police officer. Looks like Gavin Newsom. Tall, sunglasses. He's like, sorry, amigo. Did you see who's president? Rips it in half. That's the liberal. That's the America liberals are afraid of. Nightmare America. What? Sorry, Mexican. Last I checked, Trump was Know Your Rights card. Don't make me laugh. So you're going to see all this twisting of morality. this words and language, generosity, sacrifice. They'll even twist the words of the Bible and Jesus. You've seen it already. Callers on my show. And I want to just get into that briefly. The good intentions and the good intentions we have, like in our personal lives, and it leads us to terrible. It leads us to down a path we wouldn't normally have gone. And the premise is wrong. That's what I want to get at here, because the impression is always, well, at least their heart's in the right place. At least you're doing the right thing. At least you're following the Bible. You know, maybe the man's law is whatever. All sorts of things. And it's this never-ending conversation of going into history, people, places, things, and you never getting at the truth. What's wrong here? And what's wrong is even the premise is wrong. Even the core of it is wrong. You're not even the nice guy. You don't even have good intentions. It's a terrible misnomer. And if you identify that within yourself, you're able to identify that better in life. And that, if you're wondering, well, how do you protect yourself, overcome whatever this twisting morality? You know, without someone answer that question, wanting to save the masses and how do you convince the masses? No, but with yourself, that's how you'll be able to see it. And so I want to get into that. It's really wrong in its core. You'll see the justification here is always a moral one that transcends even the law, right? That's like, at least you could say you meant well. At least I'm caring for the poor, and you know, there's all sorts of things. Morality can get, call it morality, whatever. That's a silly thing too. It's a whole nother rabbit hole, can of worms. But what we call right and wrong, and they'll say that's all gotten twisted. You could say thanks to pretty smart people, maybe even academics. And they'll say the poor people, their poverty is affecting them, their socioeconomic status, and so they resort to crime. You'll hear the almost cliche, maybe at this point, is that fair to call it the father who has to steal bread? Where's the morality there? Is he bad or good? Kind of a very simplistic, like what do they call it? Reductive way of looking at it, which can be, which might not get at the whole story here. So you get it, though, how most people think so far, right? They'll say that at least the morality is correct in some way, but they don't even mean well. I want to put this. I want to explain how, you know, those who want to protect these Catholics, we have to protect the poor. They're now, so there's this, like, I don't know if it's offshoot, if it's taken over Catholicism, where it happened, how it happened, but now they're really into protecting the poor. Is their, and they may have always been like that, but now it's like political, and instead of being usually a pretty traditional conservative force, maybe that was hundreds of years ago, they're pretty liberal about it. So, and they care about the poor and the homeless, the least of us. But they don't really even mean well, even with that. Even the individual in the church thinking like that. Their love is actually hate. It's shallow. You're going to see this all the time. They'll twist. They started coming out, these Catholics and Christians and stuff, they started coming out saying, especially with these videos, you know, you got Dr. Phil out there deporting these people. It's like, what? And so they're coming out, they're saying that's not very Christian. They're loving Matthew 25 is getting that. Oh man, Matthew 25 is getting some mileage. They're loving Matthew 25. What you did to the least of me. Don't you know Jesus was a refugee? Check this out.
Everyone, it's Father Jim Martin. Hope
Father
you're well.
Jim Martin.
Yesterday on social media, I posted a few things about why Catholics and Christians are called to care for refugees and migrants. It's basically because Jesus asks us to. In Matthew 25, he says to welcome the stranger is to welcome him. And more pointedly, not to welcome the stranger is not to welcome him. But there's also another reason, which is
already, if I may, and because my audience here has been recently, I think we recently went through Matthew 25. And so you're especially an expert right now. So right now you want to go, excuse me, all annoying. But seriously though, he said the story of Matthew 25 is, what do you say again?
Not to welcome the stranger.
If you welcome the stranger versus not welcoming the stranger.
Matthew 25, he says to welcome the stranger is to welcome him. And more pointedly, not to welcome the stranger is not to welcome him.
But that's crazy. That's not even what it says. That's in fact not even what it says. To welcome the stranger is to welcome him. It's what you did to the least of me. The story is not even Jesus. It's not even Jesus saying what you did to me. Well, kind of. He says the Son of Man. It's a parable, right? He's like, let me tell. So here's how I'm taking it in. Tell me if the anchor baby is ignorant on this. Because the way he put it, he's saying, Jesus said, if you don't accept the stranger, you don't accept me. But when I read Matthew 25, it's more like Jesus started this off with one of his parables. So he's like, okay, gather around, here's a story. And the story starts off with when the Son of Man comes. Now, look, we could get all nitpicky and all that. Did they know? Is he talking about himself? Like, I don't know, but isn't that how you should read this? That he sat down and was like, gather around, let me tell you a story. And and so here's how the parable goes. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, so it wasn't even Jesus saying me right then and there. He's telling them the parable of the sheep and the goats. He tells them when the Son of Man comes in his glory. And we went through this. And this Son of Man, he's going to put his sheep on the left, the goats on the right, and the goats on the left. And the righteous people, he's going to basically say, yo, when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you invited me. I needed clothes, blah, blah, blah. And the righteous were like, I don't remember doing that. What are you talking about? And he's like, what? They're like, when did we do this? And he's like, I'm telling you, whatever you did to one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And then he says the same spiel to the goats, but he tells them, what you did to the least of them. And what they did was very little or very bad or whatever. But you understand that it's not even how he put it, that Jesus said, if you don't let the stranger in. No, it's spiritual. It's unless you're a dummy, or tell me where I'm wrong. 888-775-3773. He's talking about how deep your love goes. He's like, how do you really love all? That's what this story's about. He's like, do you really love all people? He's not saying, do you really give food and clothes and bring in refugees? That's not what he's saying. It's like, am I dumb? Am I dumb, Bill? That's so clear. He's saying, do you love everybody? How deep does your love go? So you're going to see all that. And again, I want to express how they don't even mean well. Their love is actually hate. It's shallow as opposed to how deep it's supposed to go when you treat all people with love. All people, even to the least of them. And it's like, do you do that in your life? That's what these stories are too. Do you really, really do that in your life? Or are you like, for example, making stories about people, even just a little bit, like, I don't know, just blaming them for anything. Blaming anybody else for anything. Anything, man. Like, the driving example is, people love the driving example because they don't have to talk about how really angry and nasty they are. But even the driving example shows how nasty and angry you are. You're driving around, these people you don't even know, you're like, what the heck? You freaking... And it's like, they can't even hear you. You're insane. You need God. You need Jesus. You need to repent and be born again. So anyways, they don't even mean well. It's shallow. And let me explain this. The idea is you're caring for these huddled masses. The huddled masses, they need your help. They're so... right? They're victims, but the huddled masses are not victims. The poor huddled masses are not victims. They're more akin to terrorists than victims. And this is maybe the aristocrat in me or something. Like, oh, these people, they want this and that, and we have to give it to them, or they'll riot, and it's like I'm messing around a little bit, and I am remembering the story I told you about the Brahmin, for example, the Indians who thought they were above cleaning trash. And so what did the low class, the so-called victim low class, the low Indian caste who They just have such a terrible life. And sure, they didn't have the luxuries of the rich, but look, take this in, that they became a mafia. And they were like, they can charge whatever they want to clean. And they're like, yeah, and then their areas became filthy because they're Brahmin. They don't clean. They don't clean trash. And the poor huddled masses became like a mafia. That's how they kind of are. You understand what I'm getting at? So to assign to them, to assign that they are victims, to assign that to them that they are in need of help in that way, it shows you're playing God. It shows you're playing God and that you think you could see their heart. And you understand that you could see their heart, but you can't do that. You don't know that. It's really sick, in truth, when you think about it. It's really sick. You see how this love becomes law, governance, and the cracks start showing. And you realize it's more of like a nightmare, like it's a small world after all, right? And it looks all pretty, but it's really like activists, like a corporate-faced activist. But when they're alone, they're whatever they're taking to keep them stable, they just come apart. They start unraveling. Like, I gotta fix everything. We gotta stop racism. They're sick. Okay, and look. So they're out there. They're out there at the doctor's offices right now, and they're empty. They're in some cases. This is San Diego. They're empty. Doctor's office always full. Today empty. Some sad Mexican music, and they're out, and she's waiting there. I imagine she's a citizen. Totally empty. And if you've been to any emergency room, probably around America, I've been to a few here in California, and it's like that in Canada, but I'd say that's a different story with some parallels. And you take in, especially if this is happening across multiple doctors' offices and hospitals, I can't confirm. Man, you realize that, so the Save the World people are going around getting all your donations. They're putting them in the hospitals. And then they're letting the illegals and all that in. They're putting them in. They're like, oh, we got to give them health care. It's just the right thing to do. And they're filling it up. People aren't getting the care they need. If it's anything like Canada, they used to report this, how Canadians are dying in waiting for care. But these reports never talked about the X factor, immigration. Another story. But if that's all true, you realize it's like the Save the World people will have this situation play about, unable to get care, make care, the quality of care and everything worse, including for the ones they're so-called saving. Throw everyone away into the system, just like, go over there. It's like, yeah, just come in. We're just going to save you. And you're here. It's like, go. And make everything worse. And then they won't even get caught even close to one of these peasant hospitals or anything like that. You understand? They got their own stuff. They got the money to pay for it. Unless you're one of these dummies fooled by the church to protect the poor, or your political party to reduce inequality. So yeah, unless you're one of these dummies, that's who you are. You're not going to these hospitals. You're not giving away your security. You'll make sure your security has guns. You're not going to live in areas with no law enforcement and the riffraff. You get it? So and if you are one of those dummies, then go and donate your money. Make yourself feel better. And you realize it's all ego. From the big guy to the small guy. It's all ego. In an almost cartoonish way. Don't you see this? Like in your face. And no one can see it. It's a terrible thing. Good intentions. It's not even that. It's a misnomer. You either have anger or you don't. You have a wicked heart or you don't. And that's like big talk, right? I'm sitting here, big talk, but I never feel holier than you guys. But I can't. But before you get mad at me or anything, like, oh, tell me how you're so good or whatever. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me if this is untrue. Because you see the foreign aid, for example. And they're making big old cancellations. They're not giving them all this money. There's some wars going on. There's interests, foreign and abroad. And I have my thinking about that. I don't have all the info. I'm not a general. Trump, man, I trust you. But man, some people in Washington, you saw Tucker? You saw Tucker Carlson, by the way, if I may. Super side note, just since I'm going off. He's all like, he was calling out this conservative journalist, Barry Weiss. And he's like, I don't know, Barry Weiss is these people who are trying to soften up the right for a war with Iran. Tucker Carlson. And I'm like, this sounds interesting. I might have to earmark this for later. But softening up the right for war, which I guess the right wing doesn't want, or at least some section of it. I get to infer from Tucker Carlson. But so Trump suspends dozens of top officials for blocking his freeze on foreign aid. He's serious about wanting to freeze the foreign aid. And it's not even morally right. It's not even actually aid. It's like, oh, he's doing the right. He's just like America first. He's just doing the right business thing. But come on, man. Do the right thing. Help people in need. It's crazy. And did you hear Jesse mention this just a little bit earlier today? It's a fascinating little thing. The effects of foreign aid is a fascinating little topic in that how little it helps long term. In the short term, obviously there are some help, right? You feed people, you heal people, you protect people, but the long-term effects of foreign aid are catastrophic. Some are immeasurable, but if you know anything about the wickedness of the heart, you'll know it's catastrophic. Foreign aid, it's really a terrible thing. And there's really a whole bunch of studies at this point. You can look them up. I'll mention a few. Let's see, where are they? Pardon. Okay, so bing, here it is. I mean, there's case studies into specific events like the 2010 Haiti earthquake, 2005 flood over in the Caribbean, bunch of things in Africa. So these are these separate reports on these specific events and the aid that went to them. Years later, it's full of corruption. In 2010, the earthquake, the flood of donated rice and other staples impacted local farmers for years. They were unable to sell their crops. So local economies, infrastructure, and businesses get disrupted. So there's like reports on those individuals. There's reports like the International Food Policy Research Institute. And I think they're pretty liberal, but they're like, they say food aid can depress agricultural production, and there's really countless others on how local economies are disrupted. And then there's the whole question of dependency, the immeasurable effects, how dependent people are, what they're thinking, and what they haven't figured out due to dependency. But there's reports on that too. The massive dependency these countries have on this continual aid. Some of these reports stress a need for even, not all aid is harmful, and aid that focuses on building infrastructure and capacity. There may be a way for that, but you got to understand the corruption is so bad in these programs. You got to keep it going, right? You got to keep the money coming in. So how do you keep it going? Well, you don't fix the problem. You can't really have it like that. So that's the story with all that. It's not, the premise is wrong. The heart is wicked. It's not even foreign aid is a terrible thing. Come on, Nick. I just showed you how it was. Maybe you'd like to tell me how foreign aid, maybe where it's correct, where it's fine. But if if you don't see how even the international organizations and the liberals are saying this foreign aid is, they won't use words like it's bad and and negative. They'll just say it can cause dependencies. It has a tendency to cause disruptions. You know, they have all this language. They won't tell you it's bad, but that's what they're saying. It's not good. And dependency, you want dependency? How can dependency be good? Foreign aid, it's rarely ever a good thing, especially in the long term. The only provable thing is in the short term. If you give someone water, you've fixed their thirst. It's like that's the only thing you can conclude from giving someone foreign aid. So no, I don't know about even all this building. And that's the story with all that. Don't be so ignorant. Don't be so evil. It's like, yo, I want to help them. You don't see how you're being evil. You want to keep people in their situation, but instead of letting them help themselves in a sense. And there's a way maybe to create infrastructure and build capacity. But imagine the type of person that is required to do something like that. It's definitely none of these Catholics, these liberals, these people who feel bad, these people who think they're helping, and it's the moral thing. There's only really one way, I think, the right attitude, if this is even possible. You know what I mean? There's really this, you got to understand how rare, what kind of person you got to be. You have to truly, truly, truly want what's best for your fellow man. And that's understanding sometimes you got to let him suffer, let him feel pain. And then maybe you can build some wells in Africa with the right, I don't know, mindset, but don't take, understand, I'm talking about true love. It's rare. So, but you can have it. You can have it. I believe it. Do you believe it? I believe you can have it. I believe you can love all people. Do you believe this, chat, or are you guys just listening to me because it's like, what's the news? What's the politics? It's like, there's still a message, right? Come on. You believe it? Go. Okay, let's keep it going here. Let's 888-775-3773. The Central American War is heating up. Nobody calls it that. Only I call it that. Nobody wants to call it that. That's my approach. Nobody's ready to call it that yet. The Central American Cartel War, or the first American war, cartel war, the first cartel war. There may be more. Are they incoming? Are we already in it? It's heating up. You saw Trump designating these cartels as a foreign terrorist organization and specially designated global terrorists, which is beautiful. What else are you going to call them? That's the proper designation. I got to say, that's its proper designation. Global terrorists. Ruthless, very ruthless. I want to describe some of these details. And in the Central American War, will American troops invade Mexican sovereign soil? Will Latin America become so unstable that armed insurgent groups, including the now global terrorists like the cartels, which are much larger than, which are beyond a organized crime. It's of course organized crime, but it's a full-on insurgency in their country against the citizenry and the government. The established social order. Okay, and the established authority. It's like, they have these groups in there that could take over in a moment of instability. You think Shine Bomb's going to hold them back? You think the Mexican army now I'm wading into territory I'm not too aware of, but I heard the Mexican armies can be pretty corrupt in some cases. You think they're going to go behind? They're going to be behind Shine Bomb? Will the Mexican nationalism defeat the cartels? Not allow them to take over, or will? This is all fantasy. This is all like socio-political fantasy, and I'm having fun with it. But or will Trump be forced to go into Mexican soil, kicking off the first cartel war, the first Central American war. They're shooting at Border Patrol is the breaking news. Border Patrol agents were fired upon by suspected cartel members during a human smuggling operation at the border. Not terribly new. Border Patrol gets shot at by cartel. And it's kind of been around, like the rumors and rumblings of, hey, you want to shoot? What about boots on the ground, cartel? You ready for that? You know, it's just been whispers, but, you know, Trump's around. He did designate them as global terrorists. And that does open up the chief of the military to some interesting pathways, should he want to. So I don't know, cartel. They're shooting. Look, they're shooting at Border Patrol. It's like, no, you're going to let us human traffic. You're going to let us smuggle people.
Just across the river, yards from U.S. soil, cartel gunmen stroll along the riverbank, armed with rifles. They control the border in Mexico. Some aim AK-47s at Texas DPS helicopters. Others go to war with each other, with Texas DPS thermal drone video showing cartels throwing explosives at each other during a battle for control of the area.
All the activity that's been happening, all the violence that's been taking place right across the river within several hundred yards from...
Never mind. They're never going to take over fighting each other like that.
We're at right now.
Texas DPS's lieutenant.
If one man now the true socio-political thriller, future fear, not real fear, would be one man, one warlord able to unify the cartels. You know what I mean? That would be grounds for invasion. I'd get my generals, you know, to be like, this is a development, huh? This is looking a little familiar. This is looking like the 80s. And, you know, the cartel dominance, you know, I mentioned this a little bit with my guest the other day. You guys remember the Tunisian back alley knife fighter? His name's Daniel. He's the producer of The Fallen State, but I made a joke. I said he looked like a back alley Tunisian knife fighter. I had people calling in other shows saying, you know, when Nick had his guest on, the back alley Tunisian knife fighter, doesn't he look like he could be in the back alley in Tunisia with a knife and he's going like this? And he's like, whew. And they're like, and he's throwing it like between his hands, like, hey, you shouldn't be around here. What are you doing back here? Or whatever savage language they speak. But look, their cartel dominance, like the insane wealth and global terrorism abilities they were able to gather thanks to La Santa Blanca. They have this weird some of these Latin American organizations, they are what do you call it? Not sects, but like just like groups and sections where they've maintained like a strong, almost quasi-religious beliefs, you know, loose collection of quasi-religious beliefs surrounding cocaine and the plant, La Santa Blanca, and what it's allowed them to do, what's the wealth it's given some of them, some of the insurgent groups, the guerrillas, guerrillas. They're out there, and they at one point they were so big, the Colombians. Basically America was like, well, we're gonna break the rules. We're gonna get extrajudicial with it. We're gonna collaborate with Los Pepes, for example, which was what? Their indirect support of a vigilante group in Colombia that had seen Escobar's actions had gone too far, brought way too much heat onto their organizations, just way too loud. We literally have the CIA on us. The U.S. government, DEA, is breaking their rules. They're coming in here. They're going to kill us. So they teamed up with the cartels. America basically teamed up with the cartels, indirectly supported them because they knew that because they wanted them dead. They wanted Escobar dead. They're like, well, how about we pay somebody? They became the cartel themselves. Sometimes to defeat evil, you have to become evil or something like that. Sometimes to fight the dark. Sometimes you try to be the hero, but you live long enough to see yourself become the villain or something like that, right? And so like, America had to become the cartel and had to pay somebody. You know what? We'll look the other way. And they gave them intelligence. They gave them information, Escobar, and they're like, we're just giving you intelligence. I don't know what you're going to use it for. And Escobar died. So you get why this is interesting. American boots on the ground. Will it happen? Trump is even talking about repeat offenders. You see this one? Some people don't like this one. They're like, if they're like multi-generations, white American, you're telling me if they're repeat offenders, they can get deported too? Like one of these illegals?
Very dangerous people. They're violent people. I used to say these are more violent than our criminals. In fact, the best
And I see calls coming in, 888-775-3773. I'll get to all of you.
part about them is they make our criminals look quite nice, actually, by comparison. They are very violent people. We also have many violent criminals in our country, however, that did not necessarily come here illegally, but have been arrested 30 times, 35 times, 41, 42 times in a couple of cases, 25 times.
Does he have like a wad of cotton in his mouth or something a little bit? He sounds a little funny.
18 times. Many for murder and other heinous charges, such as pushing people into subways.
What
the train's coming along at 45.
The subway pushers are going to get deported? I don't know, y'all. Sounds awesome.
5 miles an hour, boom. You get pushed into the subway. They had it last week. Getting them in the head with baseball bats while they're not looking. Punching old ladies in the face, knocking them unconscious and stealing their purse. They even break into apartments and rape elderly women and beat up elderly men, beat them to hell. And I don't want these violent repeat offenders in our country any more than I want illegal aliens from other countries who misbehave.
What do y'all think?
And I say, and this is subject to getting it approved, but if they've been arrested many, many times, they're repeat offenders by many numbers, I want them out of our country. I also will be seeking permission to do so. We're going to get approval, hopefully, to get them the hell out of our country along with others. Let them be brought to a foreign land and maintained by others for a very small fee as opposed to be maintained in our jails for massive amounts of money, including the private prison companies that charge us a fortune.
Yeah, we need a prison island. Who's down? We need a prison colony island.
Now, let them be brought out.
Just send them off, right? Because, look, they used to have, like, the death penalty, for example. They used to have stuff, they used to have in society a method of, like, how else do I put it, but permanent removal from society. And there's, I guess you could call jail, lifetime sentences, all these things. So, whatever. But the point is they used to have that, even for... Let's say you would think you'd never get executed for theft, but you're wrong. You'd be wrong in thinking that. Even in America, early America, they adopted I'm trying to find it, 3 strike, some sort of 3 strike rule. It came from the English, it'd been around. But really, there's all sorts of examples where a repeat offender of even smaller crimes, not necessarily even violent, would find themselves put to death. That's just straight up. Here, in this case, how about a prison colony out of America? Your citizenship removed.
Out of our country.
Radical? What do you think?
And let them live there for a while.
Let them live there.
Like it. You'll see crime all over the country dry up. Essentially, that's what Venezuela and other countries are doing.
It would dry up.
They're getting rid of their criminals and putting them into the United States of America. And their crime is down by almost 80%. We're going to restore law and order in America, and we want to bring back the death penalty for these horrible people that kill people. They kill people. It's always a tough thing to say because I don't like it. Nobody likes it. But if you don't do it, we're just looking for trouble.
Very wise, I think. Very wise. Some people it just won't work any other way. You got to understand. There's something about, we don't have to just do what people did in the past. There's got to be a way that we can not think ahead, but be able to live for today. The truth seems to go beyond time like that. We don't need to go to the past to just adopt exactly how they thought. It may not work. You see people today with fear. Say, we got to go back to when the church was just a certain way, and they're probably right in some respect, but it has to be looking forward. Like, let's understand and move forward. If you're following me here, but what was I saying about the death penalty? There's a wisdom to what people maybe thought on this, that a way to exit society, and no, I'm not really. Eric Bergman in my chat is asking, Nick, are you really getting deported? No, I'm not getting deported. My definition, I'd say I'm an anchor baby. I'd say I can even thank the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship. I think, you know what? I actually don't even know, because my dad's a citizen. But I don't know the real story there. We'll see. Let's wait and see. How about we have a wait and see attitude? Eric Bergman, but very unlikely. There are people who voted MAGA, and they're feeling like their family are getting deported, though. That's why this title is there. So where was I, though? Death penalty, that's how it goes. You got Trump. I want to get to calls here. I want to get right to calls. In fact, let's get to Hector. How you doing, Hector? You're on the air. Appreciate your call. Let me unmute you here. On the air.
Great afternoon, Anchor Baby. Great afternoon.
All is well, sir.
So, on that topic, I literally just had an argument with a buddy of mine yesterday, because he's like super pro Mexico, but he's American.
Oh yeah.
And I think his ignorance blinds him from that fact. And then there's been yesterday, we were just having a little chit chat with a minor debate in between. And when he's like, no, it's like, how can you not be proud to be Mexican? I was like, why would I be proud of a country where my family couldn't make it, so they had to come here to have a better life? And I was like, you're lucky you were born here. I was unlucky that they brought me when I was 3. I was like, but I appreciate this country like you can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always talking about how great Mexico is. I was like, then go live over there. He's like, well, I wouldn't live over there. And I'm like,
he said he wouldn't live there.
Yeah, he said he wouldn't live there. I was like,
did he say why?
Whole argument. Yeah, well, because he says, well, it's because I only know here. I was like, well, then go see what it's like over there. And so he does. He didn't really have a rebuttal to it. And he said, well, it's because all these people that work out in the fields. Because I live in LA, so he's out in Bakersfield. His family lives out in Bakersfield, and a lot of their friends got deported, but his family didn't. And I was like,
for real?
Well, do you know? I was like, do you know why? He's like, well, no. I was like, your family is out in the field. They don't have papers. They're working, but they haven't committed crimes. They're good citizens. They don't. They pay taxes. They buy things. They do something for the economy. Like all the other people that were getting taken were people with records. And that's one of the things that he fails to understand. Like most of the people that they're deporting is not law-abiding citizens. It's people who do harm to society.
And they're right, or they're or they simply have an illegal status.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of his family has a legal status in Bakersfield, and they work out in the field.
Gotcha.
But they're not being deported. Why? Because they have no priors. They have no violent record, no violent misdemeanors, felonies. Like they're good people. They're hardworking people. But the people that are getting taken are people who have had like multiple DUIs, aggravated assaults. They've beaten their wives. They've beaten, they've gone into tough messes out in and out like throughout their whole life. And it's like, okay, well, what more do you want? Like these people, they're working and everything, but they're not doing much for society. They're constantly in and out of jail. Like you got to understand, all these things cost money. They get appointed public defenders and everything, and all these other things that people fail to see. They get a lot of economic aid. Like it baffles me that they have food stamps and all this stuff. Like I'm too fucking proud to fucking be asking for shit like
Keep
that.
it clean a little bit.
Sorry.
No, I ain't no F-bomb, man.
Sorry. I mean, I'm not over here asking for government assistance like they are. They're getting over here like $2,000 on food stamps and all this stuff, and I'm wondering where are they getting all this money from?
So it's really
From
like,
us.
oh yeah, totally. So, just hearing this is interesting. It's really like that in for example, California, like to be Mexican and have like Mexican family members that are illegal,
and they're
is that
so proud?
It's my impression that there are that. Tell me if I'm wrong about this, because hearing you say this is making me realize that it may be more common and more intertwined with legality than I thought. In that, like, this is a normal occurrence. I'm Mexican in America. I was born in America. I'm a citizen, but yeah, I got a whole bunch of family members illegal. Is that more common than I think, or it's my impression that it's like you got like illegal? I'm sure there's a hybrid where it's some were naturalized and then you bring over family, but my impression is there's a large swath of this illegals who, they don't have family here. They came here, they work here.
Yeah,
so you're making so this is common. You're saying like, yeah, you just got families illegal.
Common. Yeah, in my family it's weird. From my mom's side, most of them have legal status, but they they're just like employees. And then from my dad's side, they all own businesses, and they have an illegal status, but they pay an absorbent amount of taxes.
And they have businesses. How is that possible?
I mean, they own taco trucks. They have moving companies. They have like all kinds of things, and it goes to show that sometimes it truly is like the society. Like in Mexico, they could never have this because they were getting, family members, my cousins and all that, like older cousins and uncles were getting constantly harassed or almost kidnapped by cartels and stuff. So
that's terrible.
Like the work ethic they have, they brought it here and they're flourishing in the country. And then they don't complain. They don't complain about like, oh, America's bad.
But how are illegals having these businesses? What I'm trying to understand.
Oh, I mean,
like they register and they pay the taxes you're talking about are just like when they purchase things, for example. Like say they go to a store to purchase stuff for their business, they pay taxes there. Or are you talking about other?
No, you can have a legal business with an ITIN or an EIN through a corporation that you make.
Mm-hmm.
But it's and so my family from my dad's side, they've done like granted they came here illegally. You could say that's the crime that they committed. But other than that, they don't have DUIs, they don't have violent offenses, they don't have anything crazy.
Let me ask, I understand that, and that's pretty much been the MO of the Trump administration so far. There are some reports going around that like, oh, they're even just taking people who don't have criminal offenses. And these cases seem to be, I might have an example for you guys later, but these seem to me like they were because they were in the vicinity of somebody else, and so they were already there or something like that. But
no, they're very rare.
But I wanted to ask, like, they might be rare, but I just wanted to ask, like, what do you do? These illegal family members? How do I put it? Like, do they? How do I put it? Like, do they? In the case of being confronted by law enforcement or whatever, is it their expectation to stay? Their expectation? Hello? We lost Hector. We lost him. We lost Hector. Call me back if you'd like. I was just want to ask him, like, despite being despite not breaking the law in other ways, deep down, like, does one really expect to stay? There maybe some part of you wishes and hopes. They did amnesty, right, during Reagan or whatever. But does one really expect that? And I don't think you should. That's like in the event of a deportation, it's like, what do you do? It's like the only thing, your only option. You could kick and scream, but maybe you'd reveal how kind of like selfish you are. But wouldn't you just go? It's like, okay. And you'd fingers crossed they let you keep the money you made or whatever capital. Maybe you've already sent it. that you keep some of it. I don't know how it works. It does. I don't see why not. Why you shouldn't be able to keep it, I guess. And then you go and you try your best elsewhere, and maybe you can even try to come back the right way or something. I don't know. Isn't that your only option? 𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. What's up, 𝒔𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔? Nice to see you in the chat. And appreciate your super chat. Says, Biden sure supported crime. It's right there. Crime plus economy equals X? ? Some say there are some academics, and it could be even worse than that, just academic. It could be like academic in the pocket of the cartel. But there are some academics, and interestingly enough, they're these academics coming from some like Latin American university. And they'll be saying things like, when reducing crime in an economy, from an economic standpoint, one should transition, or maybe not at all, from crime, because crime adds to your GDP. It adds to your economy. They bring in money and they spend it. So some of these academics, you can even conclude and justify, if you're academic, if you're smart enough. If you're smart enough, you can actually convince yourself that organized crime is good right now. It's good for now. And who knows? And then for now becomes forever. But I got more calls here. I want to get to Jaime. Jaime out of Minnesota. How you doing, sir? On the air.
Hey, how's it going, Nick? How you been?
All is well. Go ahead.
I'm glad you're back at this slot.
Nice.
The other slot was a lot harder
Nice, man. Right on.
to catch all the time. So, hey, these illegals, man, them bad ones are getting took, ain't they?
Getting what?
Took.
They're getting took.
Yeah, by the brown shirt.
Abducted? In the night? Bag over their head?
Yeah, all crystal knocked like. It's terrible.
It's
what this guy is doing.
You saying terrible?
This bald-headed guy.
Oh, Tom Homan.
He's doing this. Yeah.
You saying it's terrible?
Yeah, it's racist. Not racist. It's prejudice.
Prejudiced. You know, you're so right. It's crazy how prejudiced it is. You know who he's only going after illegals.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how prejudiced that is and how discriminatory. It's like he's only picking illegals.
And it ain't right.
That's crazy, man.
They're here to live a better life doing the crime thing. And, who is it to this guy to stop him?
The borders are authority given to him by the President of the United States.
This is unprecedented. In the last 4 or 5 years, nothing like this has ever happened. And then they all up and do this. You got to give these people some time or something.
Do you actually believe
it's
that?
Almost like with no warning.
Are you messing around? No, I'm not
I'm
sure.
Messing around.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. You got to give him warning to pack up. Advance warning. For a second, that I knew you were joking, but then for the last second there, I believed the lie.
Yeah, it's good that you're going home. So
look, man, I'll go. I don't know what the future holds, but a tear and a smile is what I'll say.
Yeah. But this Trump is making some good points about, the past 50 or whatever years they've been letting this thing slide. This, what do they call it? The anchor baby doctrine?
Birthright citizenship.
Birthright, yes, thank you. I didn't even know. I always thought that was the case. I always thought that was the law. I never heard that it wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
I think a more accurate way of putting it is just a misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment that is being corrected.
Great. People like me, this is the first time hearing that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I never saw...
Never heard of a challenge like this?
Huh?
Never heard of a challenge like this to birthright.
Right. I thought that was just the law of the land.
Had you ever heard that the 14th Amendment was closely related to slavery and its connection to all that?
Never heard that before in my life.
Okay, and I think once you take this part in about the 14th Amendment, it becomes clear that the challenge might be pretty sound. And I'm no lawyer, but it became clear to me when I read the challenge coming from D.C. and a coalition of 18 states led by Letitia James. You remember her? Attorney General of New York, going after Trump?
Yeah.
Well, she's leading these Democrat states. They all came together and said, we're going to sue Trump for this executive order. We think it's unconstitutional. And she says, and it hit me, and maybe a lawyer could tell me where I'm wrong, but it hit me just exactly how simple the challenge is and how it makes sense. In her disagreement, it became clear to me. And her disagreement was essentially this: the 14th Amendment was this right to become a citizen when you're born here was born out of the ashes of slavery. So to summarize, when the 14th Amendment was written, it was written as a response, a direct response to a previous Supreme Court precedent that didn't allow any slaves to ever become citizens, even if they were freed or whatever. And so they were like, that's going to change. 14th Amendment is a direct response to that and allowed freed slaves to become citizens. So when you realize that the whole challenge is on that, you can't take away the 14th Amendment. It was born out of slavery. You realize, well, then you can't use it for illegals today. It was never meant for them. And that's it.
Right.
To say it.
Yeah.
Long ways. I thought that was short, but that was long. All right, that's the story. Jaime, anything else you want to talk about?
No, that's it.
Right, sir. Call me again.
Just make it easy on everybody and go home.
Self-deport?
I'm just kidding.
You're asking me to self-deport? The conditions are ripe, sir. I might just have to.
Have a good day.
Call me again, Jaime.
Okay, bye.
888-775-3773. It's just becoming more convenient to self-deport. I'd be a fool if I was illegal. I'd be a fool not to. It's like, you want to continue this? It's going to get tough. Just go home. Count your losses. Count your gains, if any. Let's just be, count your gains, losses, whatever. Tally them up. Get your stuff in order. And do the right thing. Higo Waynes with another super chat says, elites are not so much wealthy as educated. That sounds very educated. So let's keep it going here. What do we talk about? Thanks, Wednesdays Nobody, over there on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Appreciate the support. On my birth certificate indicates my dad's birthplace is France. I'm first generation. That would be sure comedic irony to end up in that place. You'd be you'd be an American in France. France. Let's keep it moving here. Thank you for all the support over there. Somebody over there on buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. When will you comment on Blake Lively? I heard that name. I've maybe seen the headlines. I don't know a thing about it. I'll tell you that right now. I did have a bit of a opinion. How do I put this? I guess sort of opinion, but please, I stress that this has nothing to do with the case. The details, I know nothing about it, other than it seems to be accusations of sexual assault or something weird like that. Sexual harassment, maybe, by the woman actor to the male actress, whatever. And I'll say this. I've already kind of made my spiel, or not spiel. You know, I've made my points over the years, maybe even years now, on this show about Me Too, believing women, how you know how truly foolish the general public is, and how they don't see how evil women can be, are, the wickedness of the human heart, and the possibilities of lying, and the motivating force behind it all, how it's an attack on men and God. So I've made my point on that. I really don't feel the need to, like, maybe if I got it, maybe if it interested me, guess I would do it. If it interested me, I'd probably find the details and tell you. But so that's all it is. Probably lack of interest. But I'll say that I don't feel the need to get into every accusation case, like, and be like, well, what's going on here? Is this Me Too? It's like, yeah, sometimes bad things happen, okay? Not every case is Me Too. Not every case. Sometimes maybe the guy did something bad. I really don't know. In this case, I don't care. Maybe someone tell me something. Tell me why I should. Maybe there's a really important detail. It's totally up our alley here, maybe. I don't see it. The point stands with society and women and Me Too. Let's not. Well, some of you might know the details, so maybe I'm not talking about you, but for the rest of us, let's stay out of it when we should stay out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing people saying, like, she's lying, she probably just wants money, you know, and I just don't know the deets. So let's move on. Thanks for the super chat, though. That's my thoughts on Blake Lively. Maybe I'll become aware of these deets if they're that important. But they're fighting about it. They're saying it's sexual harassment. I got Will out of Australia. Thank you so much for your call. You're on the air out of Australia. Very cool. Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Will, man, thanks for your call. First time caller.
Yes, sir.
Nice, man. Pleasure.
How you doing today, man?
All is well, as they say.
Yes, all is well.
What time is it in Australia right now?
Rip a job. 8:22 a.m.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the planet, of the globe.
When you watching through YouTube and all, that's fine. That's easy for you, right?
Yeah.
Calling is easy for you, or what?
Skype.
Skype. Very cool.
Yeah. I've done it once before with Hake, but that was probably 6 months ago.
Well, welcome, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say you guys do a ripper job. I absolutely love your shows. You, Joel, Hake, Jesse. They're all just. I remember first finding Jesse and then seeing you guys afterwards, and I was like, wow, there's people out here thinking like that. This is bloody fantastic.
Yeah, man. You said ripper job?
Yeah. It just means good.
I love it. I learned something new. Ripper job.
Yeah, I think I said Jiminy Crickets last time on Hake's show, and I got bet in the chat.
A ripper job. That's good. That one's going in the pocket. Very cool. Here, let's trade ripper slang. This one's from Canada. The Rippers is a slang for the strip club.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Jiminy Cricket. So is that what you were thinking of when I said ripper?
No, because in context, the sentence just didn't make sense. Why would you be called a strip club? It sounded like you were saying a compliment. But I wanted to confirm because I'd never heard it before.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Man, thanks for the shout out, man. I'm sure the fellas heard it, and I love their shows too.
Yeah, it was a bit brutal on Joel's show this morning.
Wait, what happened?
I'm not going to lie, that was brutal. Oh my gosh, there was a kid who stabbed like 3 or 4 young girls or something. It was messy.
He got right into 𝒔𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔.
Yeah,
and his story.
The devil was in the details there.
Truly. Yeah, Joel Friday TV. Check him out.
Yeah, dude, I watched him this morning. Don't you?
I'm telling the audience. Tell the audience if they haven't.
Oh, yeah, watch Joel Friday. What are you doing?
Right on, man. Yeah, that was a good episode. Axel Ruda
it was-
Cubana. You sending the parents to jail? You've been brainwashed by Joel? I thought it was a great episode, but I gotta say, I just on that
No, it
one
was
on
good.
that one point, I still disagree.
Yeah, no, I don't think we should send the parents to jail, but I think they should definitely investigate what the parents
problem.
were doing.
I would create a brand new tribunal with Joel. He's gonna need someone like me to kind of like temper him, but I might be interested in a whole different kind of tribunal as opposed to like the laws in place. How do I put this? Because you can't put someone in jail for someone else's crime, right?
No, exactly right. That's a mess.
I'm sure we could work. I feel like Joel and I could work something out, though.
Yeah, I think so. And if anyone's going to sort it out, it's Big DJT that you guys have got over there.
Yeah.
My gosh. Thank goodness he's in.
Yeah.
Who
runs
make
Australia?
America.
By the way.
Right now it's Albanese. Yeah, I think he's a liberal. I don't really know.
Anthony Albanese.
Anthony Albanese, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Labor
he's good,
Party.
Yeah.
Is it like multiple parties down there, or?
Yeah, it's to be completely honest, I know more about American politics than I do about Australian. It's kind of
I actually know a lot of people like that. Friends in Canada, Mexico, Colombia. I'm thinking of just on top of my head, and they're like, I'll ask them questions. They're like, to be honest, I don't know a single thing. Everything you said, you know more about Mexican politics, Colombia, whatever, than I do. They're all tuned into American politics.
Yeah. Well, you guys are the shining light of the world. I'm not going to lie. You guys are America's the reason why we have any freedom anywhere. I think, to be completely honest.
Interesting, man.
Yeah, it's a good foundation and somewhere that the whole world can look up to be completely honest. And now that DJT is in for you, I'm hoping that nothing bad happens and that everything just keeps going up and up for you. Everything that I've seen so far that DJ's doing, it's been nothing but good from what I can see. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I think it's great, man. A list of things he said he'd be doing, and he's doing them.
Yeah, and it was early too, like the first day, the second day,
Yeah,
third day.
dictator
So
day one. I say stay dictator.
Man, I want an Australian.
15 years.
I want him to come over here and become an Australian. Get him to come over here and just change the shit over here. Well, sorry, I keep swearing. I apologize.
Just cussing down under.
Yeah, no, I apologize.
No problem.
Like a sailor over
No
here.
apology accepted, Will. Man, thank you so much. Anything else you want to talk about here before we move the wheels?
No, thank you. Thank you for a good show, my man, and I appreciate talking to you.
All right, sir. Call me back.
Yes, sir.
888-775-3773. My next guest is about to get deported. And I hear, this is terrible, Dr. Phil. I got to work on that. My next guest is, he's deported. He's out there with the ICE. He's out there making sure it's all on the up and up, I guess. But yes, he's out there deporting them up against. You're laughing. You're like, these pictures aren't real. And okay, maybe they're not real. But you know the vibes. Dr. Phil. These illegals here look tiny. Whoever photoshopped this needs proportions. But maybe that's just the right vibe. Maybe that's the image you were going for. Dr. Phil, a hulking beast over these illegals. Not very happy. ICE with the gear on. Photoshop or AI? I don't know. Dr. Phil. My wife Robin. My wife Robin is a professional.
Robin is.
She doesn't need me for anything. This is terrible. I can't do Dr. Phil. I was talking about him yesterday.
Robin.
I did come across this. This is a year old, okay? And this may even be a little older. But look who's on this panel. Rollo, was he? I wonder if he was a guest with JLP. I forget. Rollo Tomasi, no? Rollo Tomasi. He's like what should we call him? He has all this advice for men. Is it fair to say the manosphere? We use these terms to understand, but maybe inaccurate. 𝒔𝒐𝒂𝒎. So he's got this thing where he tells people how to date. You know, red pill. You've heard some of these terms. I just don't want to just say it about this man when I don't really know him, but I've seen him around. He's over here, 𝒔𝒐𝒂𝒎. And, he has all sorts of thoughts on women. Here he's on a Dr. Phil panel, and they're wondering about Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's known for his misogynistic social media posts, videos claiming to be helping young men. So Dr. Phil's wondering, well, Tate, should parents worry about his influence on their sons? He was detained in Romania about weird stuff they put in here. And so they got a panel here, and one of them wrote a book about why modern male is struggling. A men's rights attorney, a blogger, like a more left is more of the left side that works for the Center of Countering Digital Hate, and this �𝒂𝒂𝒎 author. And it's about this, you understand? Dr. Phil explains his relationship dynamic with his wife, Robin. Robin Phil, right? Mrs. Phil? Robin, wife of Dr. Phil. Robin. Right? Robin Phil? Phil McGraw. Robin McGraw. Okay. That's not his last. Dr. Phil. Robin Phil, Mrs. Phil. Mrs. McGraw, my apologies. Nice to see them both have the last name. That's very nice. Tell me what you guys think. Is �𝒂𝒂𝒎, the manosphere red pill guy, battle of the sexes? He was married. He had a daughter. He's like, is he red pilling this crowd, or does Dr. Phil have maybe some experience? Call it experience. Call it old school. Call it what you want. Does he have something over �𝒂𝒂𝒎 here in this exchange? Dr. Phil explains his relationship dynamic with wife Robin.
Who's the alpha? Very successful. Robin is a very successful woman. She doesn't need me for a damn thing.
Oh,
she's entrepreneurial.
She says no too. Look at her.
She doesn't.
No, I don't
need me for a damn thing. She's entrepreneurial. She's what?
I want you.
Yeah, thank you.
So you're superfluous then.
What's that?
So you're superfluous then.
Oh, that's a big that's a $10 word.
How does that make me superfluous?
You're nice to have around.
Meaning you're extra, superfluous, more than what's needed. You understand? Superfluous, unnecessary, especially through being more than enough.
Round.
So you're superfluous.
Yeah, thank you.
So you're superfluous then.
What's that?
So you're superfluous then.
How does that make me superfluous?
You're nice to have around.
I think you meant financially, not emotionally, not spiritually, not connectively.
You can't think of relationships beyond control.
And so you can already gather that this exchange has been going on, right? So you got this side of the panel already going like, see, this is why you are like this way. All you care about is control. This is what you're about.
Ownership and power.
No, wait a minute.
It's not about that. It's not about that at all.
The fact that she doesn't have to have me to exist doesn't mean that I'm not essential to who she is. We've been together for 46 years. She doesn't need me to buy her a new car. She doesn't need me to buy her a house. She doesn't need me to do the thing.
I can hear you guys now. Beta. What beta? Beta male, she doesn't need you. Look at her shaking her head. She's like, I don't need you. This woman thinks she's a queen or something. I can hear you guys now. I hear you guys in my ear right now. You guys are like, what? Dr. Phil's a beta male.
Me to buy her a house. She doesn't need me to do the things she's competent. If she wants to go to Hong Kong tomorrow, she doesn't.
Terry Strange says he hands her the pickle jar.
Need me to make the arrangements. But I am a part of her DNA. I'm part of her life. If I was missing, it would be a huge impact on her. That's why I'm not superfluous. You can't be that narrow-minded.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm laughing because I almost can't even describe what the almost multiple levels going on here. But I'll try and I'll give my attempt here. And I'll say this. I'll start off like I get this impression that, and maybe it's interesting. I don't know if maybe I'll put it like this. Just I think Dr. Phil just comes off as the actually more experienced, just level-headed guy here. You know, it's like for all the things that have been said about women and red pill and all that, they get some things here, obviously. And what is it that they get? What is it that is what is it that they get here? To summarize, to maybe crystallize one aspect of what is interesting about what they say, I think it's this simply. Put simply is they describe they describe the wickedness of the woman, which is up until them, really, in any mainstream kind of way, up until Tate and all that, it really was just an assumed, how do I put it? And it's weird, too, because it feels like it was only like my generation and right before. You go back even just a little bit before that, everybody knew that good and evil operate through men and women. You hear the old people, you hear them. They were Christian, right? Some of them grew up on a plantation. They knew this. But it seems like there was like years of the Dark Ages, a couple of decades of the Dark Ages where, I don't know, they just can do no wrong. They're the victims. They're the perpetual victims, and the new one of the OG civil liberties people groups. It was blacks, women, gays, like. So, the Dark Ages, there was a couple decades of the Dark Ages, and you had and to summarize and to crystallize what may be so interesting about some of these people is that their willingness to describe the wickedness of the woman. But it's been a few years. They've had time to, flesh out their theories and thoughts and all that. And in my personal opinion, the conclusions of the red pill dating expert manosphere guys is a conclusion where they've given up. Well, not given up, but just not just relinquish the woman to her evil, but even themselves. They've already given up on the woman, or have relinquished her to her basic, desires and whatever. And they've also done that with themselves in some cases, I gotta say. And it takes on. Before I keep going there, what else was I gonna say? And so it seems to me like Dr. Phil, he's coming at it from experience here. What was I trying to say about this? And these guys coming in from anger. I lost my train of thought here. What was I going to say about this? Dr. Phil, I'll put it like this too. He's going off about, I'm not superfluous in the way you're saying. I really do matter in her life. And it was, I feel like, just a response to him, like a comeback. But if we kind of slow down for a moment, isn't that kind of nice? Especially after 46 years of marriage. Maybe at the beginning, or maybe you're young, because that's how marriage is kind of supposed to be. It's like a young man's game. You get married young, and what happens when you're young? You also got problems, and you're most likely your woman is especially ideally, because you kind of get it, right? The order, it's like you lead. Then most likely she's gonna be a total woman about things. And so you'll grow and all that. But especially after 46 years, isn't that nice? That she doesn't need him? That after 46 years, they realize the truth? You don't need someone else like that?
Not.
And maybe she learned that from Dr. Phil. Isn't that the ideal situation? But isn't that the goal? Eventually, it's like, you're the dad, she's the daughter. You're like, here, you got to be I'm not going to be around forever. Isn't that how dads are? You got to be prepared. So isn't that nice? Robin, I don't need you, but I want you. It's like they're just being like normie about it. But there's something experienced and cool about it. And then Rollo here is like,
been together for 46 years.
He's all like, I don't know, bro. Do you know about hypergamy? She's gonna leave you. You're a. They have all these theories over there.
Her life. If I was missing,
is that
syphilis. You can't be that narrow-minded.
What I'm saying is that she does. You just said a minute ago that she doesn't need you,
and that's kind of like, I guess maybe like a conclusion that they never went past. The red manosphere guys are like, oh, so maybe they even heard someone say the order is man over woman, woman over children. It's like, yeah. They're like, yeah, that's totally true. She has to need you, bro. She has to need you. She has to want. This is what they say. They'll say like, you got to make her desire you and need you. You got to be in her head. And I don't know. I'm coming to realize that God loves women like he loves men. Isn't that really cool? It's rare for men and women. It's rare for everybody, what we talk about here. Wouldn't you want to be a part of the few? It's like, what am I even talking about now? Hopefully there's, now we're in the weeds. I'm just reacting really at this point to Rollo Tomasi and this Dr. Phil clip. Robin, at least she has his last name. It's solid.
that she doesn't need you for her existence.
Financially, that's all you.
Is it a financial thing, or is it a personal?
Why would someone need? Why would anyone need someone else for their existence? Isn't this marriage stuff like just a lot more simple, like economic, like practical? Like, hey, you and I it's clearly possible we can do these things. Should we do these things? Okay, we're deciding we're going to do it. Let's build a business called family. You know what I mean? Like, which requires this much food and money and time. What do you mean need someone for your existence? What is that?
Oh, there are so many dimensions.
If you need someone for your existence, you need to repent and be born again. You know what I mean?
To a relationship. And I will stay with what I said. She doesn't need me. If I die today, she will be fine.
Financially.
Emotionally.
No.
Yes.
She will be fine.
Emotionally,
fine.
Financially.
But she wants me to be in her life. And I want her.
That's just, that's that other love.
Her to be emotionally strong.
Which is fine, right? Whatever.
Strong enough, mentally strong enough, financially planned out enough that I don't have to be there for her to be okay. You can't wrap your head around that?
So she doesn't need you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You interrupt.
But here's the part. Dr. Phil is almost unable to say yes to that. He's like saying yes. He's saying that. But when Rollo puts it in simple terms like, so you're saying she doesn't need you? It's almost like, well, I'm not saying that, bro. It's like, wait, hold on. I'm not saying that. It's like, yeah. Isn't that kind of nice? Shouldn't we go that far? Shouldn't we go there? Don't you want to be free? That's you, the individual.
Interrupted him so you could be right.
How am I
He
wrong?
wasn't finished.
𝒂𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 says, wives being subject to their husbands was a punishment God put on Eve. When Jesus died, he ended that. I never heard that, 𝒂𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. Thank you for the super chat. I feel like it's got chat smoking on it. Wives being subject to their husbands was a punishment God put on Eve. When Jesus died, he ended that. Can you super chat that to Jesse? That's super interesting, man. 𝒂𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. I wonder if you can even add to that. Like when Jesus died, he ended that. But you know how it's like you can be free, but you have to really know it. And so if you don't really know it, then you're like fallen, essentially, like as if Jesus never existed. So you're subject to the law, subject to the curse. Now I'm just rambling. What do you think, Kale? Super chat Jesse on that one. I want to hear what he says.
Finished.
How am I wrong about your relationship here? He's
You
just
interrupted
saying that
him.
he does. You don't. You'll be
What is
fine
your
without
point?
him.
But what is your point, Rollo?
My point is this: is that we've made masculinity superfluous right now. We've made men
How is
superfluous
she
right
not
now.
in your same story? How is she not superfluous to him in the same story?
Exactly. That's the point. We are better together.
Hey, anyways, this might be a little old. I think it's a year ago. It's like, I'm sure he's acting on impressions, and it's like there's something right about his impression. There's something, what happened to masculinity? But whatever. That's what I saw. I just came across this video. Last few minutes of the show here. Hope you guys enjoyed the segment so far. Let's finish this video and move on.
She not in your same story. How is she not superfluous to him in the same story?
Exactly.
There's really nothing else here, I think.
That's the one.
Because I feel like
There's really
what
nothing
we're
else here, but that's a little video I found. Speaking of stuff I came across. Anyways, stuff I came across, by the way. What is the story with this? What is going on with Bill Gates? Did you guys get any of this? Now, this is a whole topic you guys know if you've been watching, not even for any specific reason. I sincerely have found no interest. Either the right information hasn't come across my eyes or something, but my impression about Bill Gates, Epstein, and blah, 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 it was conjecture, all the most that you could say about it. Like, he didn't kill himself, which is like the most you could say about it has been said, and the conjecture behind that, and I don't know, whatever. And then it's like weird, terrible sex crime rings and theories, concepts, whatever. I didn't even touch it. Not something the whole Epstein thing. So you know that this is not something I even particularly know or report on, but I had saved this in my links for today. Bill Gates actually doing an interview about this with Elon Musk demanding an investigation into John Podesta, Hillary Clinton. Is this true, though? This is fake news. So anyways, Bill Gates is addressing his ties with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. I was foolish and stupid to spend any time with him. So what the heck is this all about? Is this actually a real, like...
The two men...
Like there's something here, after all? Besides what? Besides what we could conclude was, powerful people and maybe weird things happening. And maybe even crimes. Was all this Bill Gates and the affair, like... What I'm getting at is, it seems, at least according to this report, and it may be in this video, that he's alleging, here it is, that he was blackmailed. Epstein blackmailed and threatened him over an alleged affair. Again, something I wouldn't normally care about, but one of the big major claims, the allegations were of a blackmail ring where you'd bring people, they do dirty things, and they were like convinced and brought in by someone they thought was their friend, only to be blackmailed when they were filmed, maybe doing right. These were like wild claims with the Epstein stuff. It's like, are we to confirm one of those wild claims? I mean, the rumors were always around, but you understand that where were the actual claims? Someone who was part of it coming out and saying this is happening.
In retrospect,
they are blackmailing people. That's what they said about Diddy, right? There's all just claims and rumors, but is that what I'm supposed to gather from this? I'm still not quite sure myself.
in retrospect, I was foolish to spend any time with him.
The Journal previously reported on Gates's ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including that Epstein threatened Gates over an affair he had. The two met a few times, Gates says, to discuss philanthropy. Do you think, looking back at that moment, that you were being played?
Well, Jeffrey, in retrospect, I was foolish to spend any time with him, and he sort of, got time with various people by spending time with other people. So yes, I think I was quite stupid. I thought it would help me with global health philanthropy. In fact, it failed to do that, and it was just a huge mistake.
Has it made you more wary of connections?
Definitely. Yeah. In retrospect,
Wall Street Journal, and those are some bombastic claims. No, that's from Bill Gates himself. He's like, I was threatened over this affair. Call it what you want, but that lends. Oh, unless I'm getting this wrong, someone help me here. 888-775-3773. But it seems pretty clear, cut dry. One of a big name in all this coming out saying, "Hey, yeah, there's blackmail going on." And it's like, whatever. What's the big thing? I don't know if it's that deep. But again, it was the Epstein thing. I'm just like, whatever. It's like evil things happening. Justice maybe prevails, maybe it won't. But that was happening, right? I didn't even give much attention. And it's like, dude, they're bringing people in there and they're blackmailing them. They're filming them doing things to blackmail them. I'm like, maybe. And now here's Bill Gates saying it. It's like, damn. So maybe you found that interesting. If he's crying, he's lying. That's what the chat is saying. Chat is saying, if he's crying, he's like, Bill Gates is a victim. Bill Gates is evil? You guys are saying he's the devil? Why do you guys hate Bill Gates so much? Is he terrible? Why do you guys hate him so much? You guys are haters. Like, if you actually hate him, you might be kind of terrible. But what's the big idea? What did he do? Like COVID, really? Like, he's buying up farms. Global philanthropy. Now that's a scary collection of words. You know how these global philanthropists be. Trump is the Harvey Dent, JLP the real Batman. That's from Hugo Wayne's, another super chat here. Right, not everybody's hating, but I'm just saying, if you are hating, well, this is your year. The year of the snake. Trump is the Harvey Dent, JLP the real Batman. Thank you for the super chat, Hugo Wayne's. And all the support on Rumble. What's up, Deconstruct? All the supporters on buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. And that's rumble.com. What's up, dlive.tv/gorgonzola, punchy.tv/anchorbaby. Thanks for the support, y'all, from everywhere. But that's pretty much that, okay? Last few minutes of the show, somebody's call just dropped. But you know what? I don't think I'll be able to get to you if you call me back. You'll have to call me tomorrow. And we'll get into more. We got plenty to get into. It's been a week and a half of stuff. But I'll be back with you tomorrow. Wednesday came fast. Manhood Hour. The Hake Report, Joel. And I'll be back at 12 noon for more American Anchor Baby. I got to say, though, I'm out. We done squeezed every drop out of that show. We done squeezed every drop out of the show. But have you... I do love segues. Have you squeezed every drop out of your delicious bag of Punchy's coffee? I gotta say, still smelling good. And this is an old, I don't know. Is this fair to say it's an old bag at this point? Still smells amazing. What can I say about Punchy's coffee? Stop me now before I talk too much about it. Everything I say is true. I'm not even a coffee drinker, but I did the homework. We did the work. It's like great coffee, specialty grade, fresh roasted. Get yourself a bag, rebuildingtheman.com/stores. We are happy to present to you this homebrew, bond brew production put together by the folks here. So that giving you an option to support and, drink your coffee. Let's say you already do that anyways. Well, there you go. Now you can support Bond too. And how nice is that? All right, y'all. Rebuildingdemand.com/stores. That's it from me, y'all. And one last thing. Look, if you get a bag, really, tell me what you think. Get a bag, ground, whole, and tell me honestly what you really think about the coffee. Hey, callers, I can't get to you, man. It's over. The show's over. I'm out, y'all. Take care. See you tomorrow. Hold on. Take care. See you tomorrow.